नमस्ते। आज के इस वीकली डायलॉग्स में आप सभी का स्वागत है। आई वेलकम यू ऑल टू दिस एडिशन ऑफ वीकली डायलॉग्स टुडे and we are going to talk about the UPSC. It is also apt because today only the UPSC has announced that the civil services preliminary examination is going to take place on October 4. So before you go into that examination, you should be prepared for what you're going to be in for. So let us discuss what the UPSC situation is all about. UPSC has been in the news for all the wrong reasons recently. They were accused of biases in the interview. So I will discuss about the biases in the interviews. Also, there has been a letter written by 91 retired civil servants, my erstwhile colleagues, who are in the habit of just signing on whatever Harsh Mandar and Siddharth Varadarajan write and give it to them. So they have become some kind of people for hire who lend their names only to the leftist propaganda. So they are basically tools of leftist propaganda. Do not give any credence to that quote unquote civil servants written there in the letter, because these people are all for hire. These are all aficionado of the left, and they sold their souls while they were in service to the left, to the communist breaking India credo, and of course the fake secularism that is prevalent everywhere. These are the people because of whom India has not quite progressed the way it could have. But fortunately, they just remain a minority. I mean, what are 91 people out of some, I think, a total number of civil servants that are available today? Even the retired civil servants would be in almost 50,000 or so. So ignore the number and ignore their concern completely, because these are people for hire. They only write for one particular agenda. For instance, when somebody like Shafi Islam, the son of that so-called peaceful Maulana Wahiduddin Ahmad, was inviting Arab countries to come to India and teach India a lesson. At that time, none of these worthies found their voice. They find their voice only where they can embarrass the ruling government. Why? Because they happen to be tool of the UPA government earlier. If I sound very harsh, I am deliberately harsh. Let them challenge them for challenge them. Let them challenge me for this. Okay, so the talk is all about the biases in the UPSC selection process. Now, why I have come here today is because in January, precisely on 13th of January, I did a series of tweets on what kind of bias obtains in the UPSC. Now, Sudarshan News has been doing a particular series calling it UPSC Jihad and all that. So the results that it is displaying may be incidental, but why it has happened is because the inherent bias in the UPSC selection process at the interview stage. I'm not saying that it is not there in the stage of the mains, because the syllabus is still highly weighted against what is called the Indic narrative. It is not India's own narrative. It is that narrative which has been imposed on us by the leftists, by the Islamists, by the education system that our Nawab Nehru started when he became the Prime Minister, or rather, he was selected as Prime Minister by Mahatma Gandhi. That I consider that as a very, very unfortunate decision that set India back by at least 50 years, if not more. Because even though the present government berates Nehru, doesn't like Nehru, and criticizes Nehru in various fora, but that seed of Nehruism, which is a very, very insidious combination of socialism and cowardice, that still continues to rule the roost. And it will take much more than what has happened in the last 6 years to be able to rid of that, and it will have to come from the people. because it is ultimately the pressure of the people that works on the government. The governments respond only to the pressure of the people. So it is my attempt to educate the people of the ills and evils that were wrought on this country because of Nehruism. And what UPSC does and how UPSC selection process takes place, how UPSC syllabus is framed, is all due to this rot that Nehruism has brought onto this country. So the syllabus of UPSC, of course, is a totally different proposition. I am not on that today because this is a short video. And I will specifically narrate 5 incidents and also tell you how it skews the interview process in favor of certain ideology and against what is called the native Indian ideologies or the native Indic narrative. जो हमारा अपना इतिहास है, जो हमारी अपनी परंपरा है, उसके बिल्कुल विपरीत जाते हुए इस प्रकार के नैरेटिव, इस प्रकार के विमर्श सृजित किए गए हैं और यूपीएससी इन विमर्शों का वाहक है. यूपीएससी हैज बिकम अ व्हीकल ऑफ दीज नैरेटिव्स. नाउ लेट अस लुक एट दिस. The interview carries 275 marks. In my time, it used to be 250 marks. And I still remember an angry leftist, I took 2 attempts. In the first attempt, I qualified for the allied services. I chose railway traffic services, even though I could have taken income tax or IRS. But I chose Indian Railway Traffic Service. And I got 135 out of 250 because there was an angry leftist in my interview board who kind of holed me in and started quizzing me. You're not supposed to, this is supposed to be a personality test, a test of your personality. It is not supposed to be a quiz session. And because I had written in my bio that I had taken part in a lot of quizzes and I was a part of a All India school champion quiz team. So he started quizzing me. And in that quiz, he tried to show me down. Okay, he's sitting there in front of me. But I did not lose my composure. I did not lose my poise. So even while I was not able to answer his quizzes, I simply said, sorry, sir, I don't know. So that is probably that saved me. I still got 135 out of 250. And if I had become uncomfortable or if I had lost my poise, then maybe I would have gone down even further. Anyway, in the next, of course, I got 150 out of 250. The board was quite genial, amiable, and I had no difficulty encountering or sailing through that particular interview process. Now, I have 5 instances of these tweets. Now, let this tweet come to you first. The first tweet, let me put it over here. Okay. So this gentleman, of course, I have deliberately hidden their names. And civil services examination, a boy was asked a question on Chandigarh's architecture. He gave his unbiased opinion, criticized absence of Indic elements. The board suddenly turned frosty. Vinay Mittal was in the chair with a JNU professor and some All India Services officers. And he got 87/275. And he did not qualify. Now, if I tell you that this boy is a distinguished author and has written more books than I think all these 91 officers who have written this letter combined, and good books at that, some of them are bestsellers, then you would really start wondering what kind of a personality examination process this UPSC does. Now, let's come to the second one. The second one says, I am from Rajasthan, CAT qualified, and from scheduled tribe, and IITN. I appeared for an interview. 2005 civil services examination. Sorry, 2015. civil services examination. I criticized Naxals. I defended Gupta period as golden age of India. And there was a member who disagreed and said that there's nothing golden about it. You justify, how is it golden? Obviously, he was a leftist. You must also remember that the UPSC board is disproportionately filled up with professors from JNU because the interviews take place only in Delhi. So they invite people mostly from JNU and Delhi University. And you know what kind of faculties JNU has to offer, or JNU had to offer in 2015. Now I think there's some fresh recruitment process taking place in JNU, and that is being opposed by this cartel of leftists that has ruled JNU for last 40, 50 years. And by ruling JNU, it has actually ruled the narrative of India. When they say my idea of India, that idea of India is basically idea of JNU, what JNU feels about India. So he defended Gupta period as golden age of India. The member disagreed. The member disagreed. The chairman wasn't even looking at me. And I thought I did very well. And ultimately I got 83/275, 83 out of 275. The board was headed by Arvind Saxena, who has just finished his stint as chairman. Okay, so I think the people who appear for interview next, they will not be facing Arvind Saxena board. Next tweet. This is from a sufferer. And he says that every UPSC aspirant reads The Hindu, which is openly leftist. Of course, we know that there is nothing Hindu about Hindu. The biggest anti-Hindu newspaper in India is actually The Hindu. And it was started by N. Ram's father, the great Iyengar. And this man, who is openly leftist, is a card-carrying communist. This man has completely dismantled that legacy. Not just dismantled that legacy, he's made it a carrier of colonial narratives, leftist narratives, Islamist narratives, anti-India narratives, breaking India narratives. Basically, anything that can defame and dismantle India, break India, is The Hindu. Yet, almost every coaching institute advocates The Hindu. And why does it so? Why does it do that? It does that because it gets the cues from the UPSC members. Who UPSC members advise these people informally that, okay, that we take most of the things from The Hindu. Now, something has to be done about it. I don't know what the government is doing about it, and why can't the government tell the UPSC members that you cannot be beholden to and you cannot be captive to a particular ideology or a particular newspaper. If a particular newspaper is dictating all the selections of the UPSC, then there's something seriously wrong about the entire selection process. So let's see what this particular boy says, that every UPSC aspirant reads The Hindu, which is leftist openly. It is time UPSC is called out for sourcing its questions from editorials of The Hindu, where slight left tilt is acceptable. He's talking about the boards, that we go to the board, and if you show a slight left tilt, then that is acceptable. But slight right tilt leads to butchering of marks. I mean, is this a personality test happening there in the UPSC, or what is going on there? Are they testing our ideology? And are they testing the ideology that is dictated by the Constitution, or are they testing their own ideologies which they have imbibed through their time in the civil services? And maybe some of them, most of the board members come from the leftist ideology, so they are testing the leftist ideology of the aspirants. If that is so, that is a very serious situation. And I think anybody who agitates against it and who complains against it, it's totally justified. These 91 people who have written this letter today, they can take a hike. Let me repeat, they can take a hike. Next. This happened again. This is 2017 civil services examination. the board headed by Smita Nagaraj. By the way, I have the names of all these people. If anybody challenges or anybody says that, okay, show us the proof, I have all the proof. I have hidden their names deliberately because they may be appearing again, and I do not want them to be harmed through prejudices. A member queried Startup India roadblocks. So I mentioned angel tax, MAT, that is minimum tax on the industries, the poor industry academia linkage. And when I said PM's motivation is a positive, he started scolding. Now, had I been the chairman of that particular board, I would have thrown that guy out. Thrown that guy means I've thrown that member out. He has no business scolding anybody. He's supposed to ask a question and listen to the answer. And the board, because I've been in so many boards, and whenever any member behaved like that, then I protested. What the hell is this? It is not your job to demotivate the person appearing there. You're supposed to test his personality. You're supposed to test how he reacts when he doesn't know the answer. That is a very good test of personality. If he gets nervous, he doesn't know the answer, but he's still confident enough and says that, sir, I do not know this answer. If somebody can confidently say that I don't know the answer, then that is a very good personality trait. You're not supposed to start scolding people for not towing your line or for answering something that you don't like. That's not your business. That member should have been disqualified, even if not being thrown out of that particular board, but he should have been disqualified from that very day, from the next day onwards. I don't think it is done because JNU has a hold on UPSC. Remember this. And it will not go till we protest. How we protest? We have to protest democratically, obviously. And there are various means of protesting. We can start protesting on social media. That is one way of protesting. But a protest has to be there. This kind of conduct of UPSC interview boards. Next. Now, this is the fifth one. 2015 Civil Services Examination. A JNU science faculty student had a JNU professor as a member in his board. I told you that academicians are there in every board, and usually they are from JNU, and usually they are from JNU humanities and arts faculties. And what kind of professor they are? Through the 70s and 80s and 90s, they have only recruited card-carrying communists. The entire recruitment process of JNU is so flawed and so tilted that only card-carrying communists get selected. And these people find a seat in UPSC boards. And when they find a seat in the UPSC board, it is quite natural that these kind of things will happen. So let me read this. A JNU science faculty student had a JNU professor as a member. He asked him about Gramsci's contribution to the world. I don't know whether you know Gramsci's contribution. Gramsci's contribution is cultural Marxism, one more divisive theory to the world. And he is asking for his contribution to the world. Had I been there, then probably, I don't know. If today somebody asks me Gramsci's contribution to the world, I say the Gramsci's contribution to the world is that Gramsci himself is a negative contribution. Whatever he is written is negative square. And if I can help it, then I would remove the name of Gramsci. Okay, let's not say removing the name of Gramsci. The Gramsci should be there, but all his theories would be removed from every syllabi that exists. It is completely that dystopia that has destroyed, and I would say that is infected the minds of our youth, the minds of the youth the world over. So Gramsci is to be shunned. Gramsci is to be thrown out from all syllabi all over the world. After the communism failed, it is Gramsci who sustained the basic theories and the basic divisive nature, the basic binaries of communism through this cultural Marxism by polluting cultures. Postmodernism and cultural Marxism together have brought this world to a stage where you see this kind of BLM things that are happening, the Black Lives Matter agitation that is going on in American universities and the American streets. It is a direct result of this Gramsci kind of teachings, the Gramsci kind of indoctrination. It is Maoism in another form, Maoism in a benign form, but equally lethal, equally poisonous. Can we have the tweet again, please? Yeah, so he asked him about Gramsci's contribution to the world. Now, he's a science faculty student. Why should he know Gramsci? I'm not supposed to know Gramsci. Gramsci is supposed to be known only by people who are studying him in syllabus. Why the hell should anybody else know Gramsci? So he pleaded ignorance. The professor lost his shirt and shouted. Imagine, these are JNU professors. What we have to trend is to banish JNU from UPSC boards. This is the right approach. Don't bring any caste, color, religion, or anything into it. Just shout JNU out of UPSC, JNU out of UPSC. Trend, JNU out of UPSC, JNU out of UPSC. Once JNU is out of UPSC, all biases and prejudices will come down substantially. Sudarshan News is saying something, but according to me, that is the result of downgrading of boys and girls who display the slightest sympathy to the Indic cause. It is their downgrading that results in an artificial inflating of the other narratives and people who espouse other narratives getting higher average marks. It is not because there is anything deliberate. The problem is here. The problem is JNU. The problem is leftists. Anybody who has a left leaning should not be on the board, including civil servants. And I can tell you a number of civil servants even today were card-carrying communists in their student days. Communism is a threat to the world. Communism is a threat to the society. Communism is a threat to you and me. The communism breeds urban naxals. This urban naxalism is a very, very pernicious kind of an infection. I would say it's as bad an infection as COVID. And this COVID kind of infection cannot be tolerated in a civilized society and certainly not in an exalted place like the UPSC. So UPSC members need to be scrutinized, they need to be sanitized, and they need to be told, and if it is necessary, then they have to be brought to conferences and told in no unclear terms that their biases have to cease. They cannot put ideology into personality tests. The personality tests have to be objective. They're supposed to test the personality. Of course, I have always had a grudge against this kind of personality test. Because the this personality test, how can you test anybody in just 20, 30 minutes? How can you study about anybody's personality in 20, 30 minutes? You have to assess him holistically. And for that, the best methodology is what the army adopts for its NDA tests. That still has a certain value. That still gives you a clearer picture of the personality of the person who's getting recruited. This UPSC personality test is highly skewed, but it will not change unless we, not the students, don't harm the students, don't ask the students to do it, because the whole system turns against the students in such cases. Not them. We, you and me, the people who are now well stationed in life, we have to start this. We have to start this agitation. We have to start this particular revolution. We have to bring it. And we have to tell the UPSC, look, you are not above law. You are not above everything else. You have to be unbiased. You have to take ideology out of your boards, and you have to assess the personality. The personality test is not a test of knowledge. The knowledge has been tested through the written examination. And when you are testing the personalities, you do not test the ideology. And certainly, you cannot put it against anybody who loves India, who loves the traditions of India, who loves the wisdom of India, who loves the ancient knowledge of India. That cannot be discounted and held against any person who comes there for personality tests. And those who are doing it, they need to be named and shamed. And as a beginning, all these 91 civil servants who have written this letter, they need to be called out, they need to be shamed. Please start doing that today. Thank you. If you like this video, please do like, subscribe, and share. And of course, your contributions are always welcome. Thank you once again.